Right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry over the last week. We are zooming straight into our discussions. And tonight we have a two-pronged discussion. One, I will take a look at one cardinal issue, indeed, that has to do with the role of Ghana's global ocean governance and how to unpack, or so to speak, decode the Ocean Centers Initiative. We'll tell you what it's all about. And indeed, we shall be zooming into our second discussion, which has to do with what we started last week. That's a part two of this one, the handling of dangerous cargo along Ghana's corridors and logistics sector. And so these are the two topics we are treating tonight. But first of all, we would go straight into our first discussion, which is Ghana's role in global ocean governance and how to unpack the Ocean Centers Initiative, or decoding it. And like I said, we have in the studios tonight Dr. Emmanuel Kofi-Mbiah, who is the country lead, United Nations Global Compact's Ocean Centers Initiative. He's here. You know, Doc is no stranger to IONPOD. He's been a friend of the show for several years. Doc, good evening, sir, and welcome.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And then we also have in the studios Mr. Tolu Kweku-Lacroix, who is the Executive Director of the UN Global Compact Network, Ghana. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Your first time on IONPOD?
Yes, it is.
We are glad to have you.
Thank you.
Right. So, first of all, I would have you, Mr. Lacroix, start and tell us about how come Ghana was, as it were, selected to benefit from this particular initiative. I know you had a launch recently.
No, actually, so we're launching next week.
31st.
Or 31st. That'll be this week, yes.
Okay, sure. All right. Okay. So, tell us why Ghana was chosen.
Thank you. So the UN Global Compact, we have been working on sustainable ocean business for some time. It started when we attended the UN conference in Lisbon in 2022. And during that time, we met with other members of the UN Global Compact, and we were discussing how we want to advance sustainable ocean business in Ghana.
Right.
So following that conference, we came back to Ghana, and we actually hosted an ocean conference, and the theme of that conference was advancing sustainable ocean business in Ghana.
Right.
So we had the participation of the Ghana Ports and Harbor Authority. We had the participation of the Ghana Maritime Authority, as well as UNDP. And so we had a discussion about, how can we start that work here?
Yes.
And then we also introduced the Ocean Stewardship Coalition, which is an organization within the UN Global Compact that focuses on advancing sustainable issues in the maritime space and also the blue economy. So following that, the Ocean Stewardship Coalition was very impressed with our work. And so they contacted us and said, we're looking for some countries to pitch to the Lloyd's Register Foundation to start an Ocean Centers Initiative.
Right.
And these centers was going to be a pilot to see how we can foster sustainable ocean business in the maritime space and also to advance safety as a very key concern. So following that, we went through the process, and given our work, we started off with the phase one of the project, which was to be a stakeholder mapping to see if there would be interest in Ghana for an ocean center to support the sector in this area. Also to work with government in structuring some of the initiatives as well, to also align with government priorities when it comes to sustainable oceans, and of course with regards to 4 key areas. We're looking at ports and harbors, renewable energy offshore, aquafisheries, and then some forays into blue finance. So we did initial phase one of that project. Dr. Kofi-Mbiah was our lead on that.
Right.
And we produced a report, which we sent back to the Ocean Stewardship Center, as well as the Lloyd's Register Foundation, on the potential for a robust center in Ghana. So following that, they did a review, and then Ghana was selected along with 7 other countries to host an ocean center. So currently, we are going to have our launch next week. We are gathering many important stakeholders from the industry and from government to officially launch the UN Ocean Center. And then following that, we'll have some workshops with key stakeholders in the industry to start getting them kind of sensitized to the issue on safety within the space.
Right. Let me come to Dr. Mbiah and find out from you if you can tell us what this Ocean Centers initiative is about and why Ghana's participation is significant.
Yes, thank you very much. And As Tulu indicated, some background work has been done already, which shows that there is interest in Ghana when it comes to the issues of safety and sustainability.
Yes.
The ocean centers, I must say, do not have a physical presence. They are more of a virtual hub that creates a multi-stakeholder platform. And as he mentioned, we have mapped a cross-section of industry players,
Right.
from academia to government, public, NGO, IGO, etc., including those who are unseen and unheard,
Yeah.
the fisher folk, all of them have been mapped. So the ocean centers will create the platform for these bodies to engage in a cross-fertilization of ideas,
Yeah.
to identify the challenges that beset our ocean industry, especially having regard to issues of safety and sustainability. So these are, if you like, the linchpins on which all of that which relates to the ocean will be driven.
Right.
Essentially, safety. If it's not safe, it's not sustainable.
Right.
As we say, safety first.
Absolutely.
So we tie in safety with sustainability, creating a platform where we can exchange ideas, isolate the challenges, and then find, if you like, homegrown solutions. These are, if you like, localized solutions, because the problems which are identified may be unique, if you like, to Ghana. And consequently, we need to have our own blueprint for resolving those issues. As we move towards decarbonization, the issues of climate change, we are talking about renewables, we are bringing in new things. We need to know, the safety considerations as far as these are concerned. As we introduce these new elements, we need to know how sustainable are these new things that we bring on board. So essentially, that is what the ocean centers are purposed to do.
All right, so viewers, for you to have a grasp of what, understanding of what we're doing, Ghana is one of 7 countries, indeed 2 from Africa, Ghana and Kenya, that have been selected under the United Nations Global Compact Ocean Centers Initiative. That's what you just heard them say. It's a collaborative effort to address safety and sustainability challenges across ocean industries. And this global project, supported by Lloyd's Register Foundation, aims to promote responsible business practices, influence marine policy, and generate locally driven solutions to pressing ocean-related challenges. And so that's exactly what we're discussing tonight. And let me come back to you, Mr. Lacroix, and find out from you. So this was launched earlier in Nice, in France, and the Ghana version is going to be launched, like you said, on the 31st of July. That's just next week. Now, right after the launch, what next? What will be the way forward for the Ocean Centers Initiative in our jurisdiction?
Yeah, so we are going to have some workshops. We're going to immediately start working on the workshops. So typically, probably about a month after the launch, we will gather the relevant stakeholders, start teaching them about safety in the space. And so what is the purpose of this? The purpose of this is that we believe if you're going to have a very robust industry when it comes to the different sectors that we're looking at, you have to start from a very sustainable platform. And so for us, the safety aspect is key. So the safety when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to operations, even when it comes to how you handle your human resources and things like that, there's that element that has to be the standards have to be set. And so when you have that, then you begin to progress on the other things. The reason why the Lloyd's Register Foundation specifically picked the UN Global Compact is because we have our 10 principles in 4 key main areas: human rights, labor, the environment, and anti-corruption. So using that as our principles and our DNA, that is through that we will begin to showcase how these goals can be attained. And so when we do that, what our goal is to first of all be as inclusive as possible. So as you mentioned, it's supposed to be a very community-driven. We're supposed to be looking at local needs and local problems. So in doing so, we'll bring together both the fisheries, both those that are also in the maritime companies that are in the space. We'll look at shippers, And we'll look at even the finance sector because they're all part of the ecosystem, especially when we're talking about blue finance. You know, as you know, currently, a lot of the banks are doing a lot when it comes to green finance, when it comes to solar, when it comes to renewables onshore. So we're also trying to bring that discussion offshore as well. Let's see if we can also bring some blue finance. Let's get some blue bonds and structures I'll say financial instruments prepared. But to also shore up confidence, we also have to start from how are we putting these initiatives together, and we want to do that in a safe way. So the workshops would follow, and after the workshops, we'll have a review to see what the next steps will be, and this should extend well into next year and beyond.
Okay. All right, awesome. Now, Doc, let's take a look at how the Ocean Centers Initiative is going to help, resolve the myriad of challenges that we have in our space as far as the blue economy and the maritime industry is concerned. For instance, we're talking about IUU fishing, illegal, unregulated, unreported fishing. We're talking about fragmented regulations. We're talking about ESG compliance in Ghana's fishing and aquaculture sectors. How will it come in? Does it come in handy? And are we going to be able to use it to navigate our way through?
Yes, thank you very much. I must say that we are on the blue road to COP30.
Yes.
We are on the blue road to COP30.
That's in Brazil, I understand.
Yeah, so in Brazil. Yes, all right. And, with the ocean centers and the workshops which Tolu indicated, I said earlier on that we've done some mapping. We're doing a cross-fertilization of ideas. You bring out the challenges, and then you look out for solutions to those. So it is important to bear in mind that if you are talking, say, of IUU fishing, if you are talking about ESG, to what extent do these relate to the blue economy in general?
Right.
And therefore, the key things that relate to safety, that relate to sustainability, whether they deal with IUU fishing or with ESG, you map out, you isolate, you identify the challenges.
Right.
If we isolate IUU, for example, what are the causes of IUU?
Yeah.
What is the nature of the regulatory framework for IUU? Is there sufficient regulation? Is there capacity enough?
Right.
Why are we having IUU? We are having IUU because we know, for example, that the financial backbone is not there. And as Tolu mentioned, when we are talking about the ocean centers, we are not oblivious of the fact that it must be driven by finance.
Right.
And consequently, blue finance initiatives are very, very key.
Absolutely.
To what extent do we de-risk some of the key elements that make financiers shy away from coming into a particular area?
Right.
The United Nations Secretary General made a statement only last week, and he indicated quite clearly that renewables are on the ascendancy.
Right.
So that today we're talking about a capacity of about 1/3 energy capacity from renewables.
Right.
Some 10 years ago, the Paris Agreement, no one envisaged that within this short space of time, we would improve and increase the generating capacity of renewables. So it is indeed important. And also, when we talk about ESG, environmental, social governance, the people we have mapped, they come from various sectors and they bring to the table. So at every point in time, you have to ask yourself, who is in the room? And you would find out that in the room, you have government, you have private participation. You have, if you like, the local players themselves. You have those who are affected by some of the policies which we bring on board. So all of this is aimed at trying to get appropriate regulations in place, trying to build standards, and ensuring that once we have standards, can we adopt best practices? So best practices, regulatory framework, and then having in mind all of these synchronizing would enable you deal with the issues that you have isolated.
Right.
Whether it is IUU, whether it is ESG, whether it is fragmented regulation, all of these will be dealt with as you look at this within that framework.
Yeah. All right. Let me come to Mr. Lakwa and find out from you in what way will government, private sector, civil society, academia, kind of like be roped, and other stakeholders, so to speak, be roped in to help fashion and develop local, as it were, solutions, to influence new marine-related standards or policies?
Well, definitely, whenever you're putting an initiative like this together, you always have to have dialogues, policy dialogues especially. One of the key benefits of this is that it gives an opportunity to highlight the key critical issues in the space. It's also an opportunity to get everyone's perspectives,
Right.
Government's perspectives, private sector's perspectives, the shippers' perspectives, and so forth. And I think this exercise is going to be particularly key because we are venturing into a space that is relatively fresh, especially when we're talking about blue economy. Right now, the blue economy is projected to be about $3 trillion in the future,
Right.
just from blue economy.
Wow.
When it comes down to
You said 3 trillion.
$3 trillion
Yeah.
globally.
Going
So-
to climb to about $5 trillion by 2050.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when you see that there's a lot of untapped opportunities, the question is how do we move forward and what is the right steps to take? Well, from government, obviously we're looking at regulations, we're looking at policies to kind of shape the actions in the space, so that the people know exactly how to operate. What is the guidance? What are the standards? What is the bare minimum?
Right.
How can we improve? Now, government is also looking for investments. They're also looking to also project some of their policies. Ghana's had an integrated maritime strategy
Yes.
since was it 2022 or 2023? Well, 2022. It's very, very ambitious in scope and nature, but it's going to need a lot of help. It's going to need a lot of help from the various stakeholders. So government. So if we have a center like this, if we have these, the platform to have these policy discussions, then we'll be able to show, okay, what is the roadmap of what we need to accomplish?
Right.
What are the key obstacles now preventing us from getting there? And how do we work together to solve those problems? If the issue is finance, how do we create the financial instruments? Dr. Kofi mentioned de-risking. Yes, we need to de-risking, but we also have to have a vision. We need to have something to work towards so that we can be able to get there.
Right.
Some of the areas are very, very obvious. For example, we have an energy crisis in Ghana. Offshore renewable energy is something that we can do now.
Right.
In 2022, I happened to travel to Denmark on a UN Global Compact trip.
Right.
And when we were in Denmark, we saw that they have a lot of wind farms offshore.
Right.
I know in Ghana there was plans for something like that.
Yes, that's for wind energy.
And when we asked the cost of, if we asked the Danish, how much did it cost you to set this up? For them, it cost about $180 million. Wow. Now, I think that's something we can come up with. And they say that the wind turbines is contributing to 20% of their energy output. So imagine if we had something like this. So that anytime, if there's supposed to be a maintenance with one facility or another,
you switch on to.
You can just switch on to that. We don't have to say, "Oh, we're sorry, we're going to have a little bit of outage here." Adenta, lookout, Kwabenya, lookout, and so forth. We can just say we can just switch.
Right.
And so, going back to the Secretary General's statements, these are things that are coming. So the question is, can we make those investments now? I believe sincerely the government wants to make those investments. The question is, where's the money going to come from, and how do we make it attractive?
Right.
But the good news is that there's lots of examples worldwide on how this can be done, and the cost is not as high as we think. So it's just about getting that in. So that's from the government side, and then you've got the associations who are going to be looking at the general welfare of people in this sector when it comes to health, when it comes to fair wages, when it comes to treatment. All of the things underpin what we are trying to accomplish in this space. So there's a lot, but it will start with the dialogues. It will start with us having these discussions, and then from there we have something to build upon. And then once you have something solid to build upon, believe you me, there are actual people who are interested in this. I can tell you that I was personally approached by the head of NORC back in 2022. He was asking, is Ghana a country that's interested in having a green maritime lane? What that means exactly is that are we interested in upgrading our ships our ports for the ships of the future? He called it Green Maritime Corridor. That was the term that he used.
Yeah.
Okay. What they're saying is that they are currently right now designing the ships of the future. They say by 2050, at least 50% of ocean vessels will be running on either ammonia or hydrogen.
Yes.
We know that Namibia is producing hydrogen right now.
Yes.
That's being funded by Germany so that they can be getting that energy resource. And of course, as you know, Europe is really looking to divest from oil because of what's happening with Russia. So when we're looking at things like this, we're seeing that there's tremendous opportunity. Tremendous opportunity. So it's just a question of how do we go about it?
Right.
And then when we go about it the right way, we're going to get interest
Right.
from all sectors. Thank you.
So let me come to you, Doc, finally, and find out from you the next steps following the 31st launch, that's next week, and how will Ghana measure success in aligning ocean industry development with long-term safety and sustainability goals?
Yes, it's important to mention that, in terms of success, you are looking at two key things. You're looking at people, you're looking at property.
Right.
How are you making people safe? How are you making property safe? And in the end, all of the things we are using, how sustainable, can they be?
Right.
We all have a certain target. That target is 1.5 degrees of warmth, so we do, our collective efforts, our collaboration, our cooperation, our commitment, all of it should lead us to reducing global warming.
Right.
And that is key. When you talk about renewables, for example, it is we are affected greatly by the geopolitics of the world.
Yeah.
Israel fires some missiles into Iran, and immediately there are shivers all around the world. We are not. But imagine we are relying heavily on sunlight.
Yeah.
We are relying on wind. These forms of energy, to what extent are we going to be affected by the geopolitics? Yeah. You would realize that the geopolitics doesn't affect us that much once we are relying on sunlight and we are relying on wind. Yeah. So our renewable energy effort then pays off.
Right.
So once we want to go in that direction, you have to find out, one, as Tolu mentioned, how do you finance your new capacities? And your new capacities you're looking at, are there any downsides to them? And that is why I said, in order to measure these things, you will need to look at, have we put in place appropriate regulations? Have we put in place appropriate standards? Are we looking at best practices? What are the benchmarks? That once we have them, they become a blueprint.
Right.
And therefore, we ingrain safety in sustainability. We make safety and sustainability a culture within institutions, within industry.
Right.
So if we're counting accidents, for example, we can say we have moved from 30 accidents in a year to 5 accidents in a year.
Right.
So the measuring rod tells us that we are making some improvement in this regard.
Right.
I mentioned that the overall effect is the 1.5 degrees.
Absolutely.
So if the various efforts from various places, they finally contribute so that these anthropogenic effects on climate are reduced, then we would say that we have made some progress.
Awesome.
So the ocean centers are basically to bring these things out, look for the challenges, try and get the solutions which address these critical issues, because we are in transition.
Absolutely.
We are moving to a time when we are moving to renewables.
Right.
If there are any downsides, we need to address them.
Right.
And these are critical.
Awesome. Kwesi Hassan is watching us on Facebook Live. He says, good to see you, Doc. And that's Dr. Emmanuel Kofimbia. He is the country lead, United Nations Global Compact Ocean Centers Initiative. He's been in the studios for our first discussion. And indeed, we also have in the studio Mr. Tolu Kweku Lakwa, who's the Executive Director of the United Nations Global Compact Network, Ghana. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for obliging us and for coming. God willing, on the 31st, we'll see you at the launch.
Yes, thank you very much. So,
thank you so much for having us.
Sure. The launch will be on 31st.
Absolutely.
It will be hybrid, so those who are not able to come can also follow it online.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Viewers, so we're going to go for a break. When we return, we'll zoom into our second discussion straight. Please stay with us.